If you will please turn off all cell phones or put on silent. And if you'll join me in standing and starting our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes.
I wanted to thank everybody.
Okay, now we'll begin our meeting first with roll call. Ms. Clerk, if you can take care of that.
Commissioner Barr.
Here.
Zarnecki.
Present.
Farina is absent. Kyle.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Tuller. Absent. Warnick.
Here.
That is a quorum.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion then for excused absences
If you
since
want to,
we
sure.
were made aware of
Sure.
both of the members that aren't here today?
That you have that ability.
Anybody want to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion to excuse the two commissioners,
Okay, and that would be Frank Farina
Frank
and
Farina and
Trevor Tuller.
Trevor Tuller. I support.
support. We do
Roll call.
a roll call with that.
You can. Okay. Commissioner Barr.
Agreed.
Commissioner Zarnecki.
Yes.
Commissioner Farina is absent. Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller is absent. Commissioner Warnick.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Mr. Chair, can I say something? It just came to my
Yes.
attention. Joanne Barr was just reappointed, and I think she still needs to be sworn in. And I'm sorry I didn't mention it before.
I didn't even think about that.
So you're probably not prepared to swear in.
It takes 2 seconds. I can, but by the time, yeah, I can do that whenever you want. Do you want, while you're giving your remarks, I'll just
Okay,
print up a
we
sheet.
can
It
do
takes-
that.
It takes that quick of a time.
Okay.
Right back.
And is it okay if she votes on, say, the agenda? Or do we wait? Okay. So first thing we're going to do is vote on the agenda, approval of our agenda. Is there any discussion or comments on it? I don't believe there's any changes.
No, but Mr. Chair, I would move to remove agenda item number 5, the approval of the minutes for January 13, 25, to take that off the agenda.
Okay. We had talked about that previously, so we're going to remove item 5 from our agenda and keep the rest all the same.
You need support for my motion.
Yep.
I'll
I have a
support.
Support, okay, so supported by Kyle, and Zarnecki made that motion. Can we do a roll call?
Commissioner Barr?
Yeah.
Commissioner Barr?
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki?
Yes.
Commissioner Kyle?
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer?
Yes.
Chair Warnock?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Agenda is approved. And we'll start with the chairperson's opening remarks. Tonight's meeting will follow the agenda, which was posted online and has been printed for you here. Before we begin, it's important to let everyone know that the Planning Commission is created by state law. The commission is comprised of 7 members, all of whom have volunteered to serve. Members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council. The role of the Planning Commission is to plan and promote the efficient, coordinated development of the city for the health, safety, and general welfare of its residents. We are not here to negotiate with applicants or allow everything an applicant is requesting. However, the Planning Commission does have the power to approve certain requests and recommend others, depending on the nature of the request and whether all the standards in the zoning ordinance have been met. Planning Commission may also impose conditions on a proposed project in order to ensure that those standards are met. Other individuals here with us this evening are our legal representative from O'Reilly Rancilio, PC, Alexander Hishon, our city planner representing McKenna and Associates, Lawrence Sayre, and the city clerk, August Gischlag. We have no public hearings, so we'll move forward with, would be normally agenda item 5, which we have removed from this agenda, so new business. We have a site plan, that would be SP 25-01, 16945 Masonic Boulevard, DeKalb mechanical renovation for a commercial driveway. Is the petitioner present? If you want, you can come and take a seat up there. Before we start that, Ms. Sarah, if you could give us a background on this?
Thank you, Chair Warnock. So this site is located at 16945 Masonic Boulevard. This is right next to the post office. The applicant, sorry, I misprinted on the report. It's Daniel Boggs on behalf of the owner, DeKalb Mechanical, is proposing an additional driveway located on the east side of the lot. So this site is a little bit unique as they actually don't have their own driveway on their lot. It's they have a shared access agreement to that shared driveway between the other parcel. But they're looking to add another driveway to utilize an overhead bay door that they're going to put in for trucks to pull into their building. So the zoning ordinance in section 3250 provides that non-residential driveways require planning commission approval. So this is a little bit similar to the facade site plans that you've seen, where it's not necessarily a full site plan, but just approving this element and then any elements that might be shifted around as a result of the new driveway. So the first item we looked at was ingress and egress, and the proposed driveway, they're proposing it to be two-way and to be 21 feet and 2 inches. The ordinance states that two-way driveways have to be a minimum of 30 feet. So either the applicant has to obtain a variance for this driveway, submit a compliant plan with it being 30 feet, or I didn't list this, but they also could also just change it to be a one-way driveway as well. All of those options would get it in compliance. The next item will be parking. So the applicant needs 26 parking spaces. 2 of these must be barrier-free. So they show 26 spots on the site plan. However, 7 of these parking spaces are in front of either the bay door or the pedestrian doors into the building, and they pull up right to the building. So if they were in use, those doors wouldn't be able to. So we don't feel that this is a usable parking space, and therefore they're deficient in those 7 spaces and would need to either provide those or obtain a variance for those to get in compliance. Public safety did not have any concerns. The Department of Public Works which would need to approve the approach in the right-of-way, said he has no issues with it, and just asked that engineering be consulted on the final permit, which is what we would do anyway. And then engineering provided his comments that he believes that it's necessary for the functionality of the site. He would like to ensure that the sidewalks remain ADA compliant, and he has some concerns about the radii of the driveway being a little tight, but is okay with it given the site constraints. And then he has some concerns about potential mobility issues of the parking stalls that face Masonic. Overall, we find that the proposed driveway would allow for the occupant to access their building, the property, without the use of that shared easement. It serves as a logical location for incoming truck traffic. We just recommend approval of that additional driveway as a site plan amendment with the following conditions: that the driveway must either be one-way, must be 30 feet wide if it's remaining two-way, or a variance is obtained, and that the applicant should provide the 7 parking spaces or obtain a variance for those. That is it.
Okay. Any members have any question for Ms. Sarah? Any questions at all there?
Well, the one question I would have on the driveway, the 21 and 2 inches, they have the other one that's shared, so they could probably make that one way, the one, and coming out the other way, and then it wouldn't be an issue?
I believe so, but I would defer to the applicant.
Yeah,
on that one.
we'll talk to the applicant then. If there's no other further questions, if we can get the applicant to give us your name and address.
My name is Randy DeBeal. I'm one of the owners of Decal Incorporated. The address for this building, you want? Okay, it's 16945 Masonic, Fraser, Michigan.
And how do you spell your last name?
Capital D-E, capital B as in boy, E-U-L.
Do you have anything you wish to add to the presentation already?
It was a good presentation. Our biggest thing is to be able to, we're pipe fabricators. So we're mechanical, and we fabricate our own pipe. And make this a lot easier for safety for my men to be able to back a truck in, offload the pipe inside the building. Neighbor next to us, he's a good guy, but he's not really, I can't pull a semi in there and offload trucks because I only have, I believe it's 25 feet of, my own property on the side of the building. So I don't want to, I guess I don't want you to get upset with us if we have a semi that we have to offload a truck and it's going to take a couple hours to do.
How long have you been there?
We've owned the building for about 20 to 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah. We just recently put a new roof on it. We've done, try to keep it up. Oh, sure.
Okay.
Is that better?
That's better, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for the petitioner?
I have a few, Mr. Chair. I did speak to Mr. Buell before the meeting tonight. I did go to your facility today, and Justin was very helpful. And how he explained it to me with the new door that you're putting off of Masonic, he said it would be just state-issued trucks that would be going in and out, and the semis are the one that goes down that complete driveway for your shipping and receiving. Is that correct? Did I understand him correctly, I should say?
That probably could be correct and the biggest thing is, we could pull a semi and keep it tight to the building and offload it, but we have to get a crane to do that. And we typically, right now, we have some indoor overhead cranes that we could offload a lot more safe.
Right, the crane would become forward to your new door
Yes.
that you're asking for?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And is there a parking agreement between you and your neighbor,
There is not.
or an easement?
Well, the only thing I understood when we bought the property is that that driveway was, meant for both buildings.
And that's,
Once we come into that driveway and onto the property, I only own like 25 feet.
That-
It's very narrow. So
And there appears to be no stormwater management on site at all?
I'm sorry?
There's no storm management on site?
No.
There's no drainage or anything, no drain?
No.
Okay, all right. And what Justin also told me, I don't want to put him on the spot, but what I understood Justin told me is this is your second facility. That you have one in Warren also?
Honestly, this is our third facility.
Third, okay. all
Yes.
right.
So we have a building on Shaner, just south of 10 Mile Road. That's our headquarters.
Okay,
2 buildings down from there, I have a service department that runs out of that building. And this is going to be our fabrication shop where we make the drawings, we send them to the shop, they'll weld, tees and fittings on pipe.
okay. And how many employees do you have, sir?
Total in the company?
No, here at your Fraser.
Oh, just Fraser. I think right now there might be 6 or 7.
That's what I saw today, were very few. So I'm questioning the number of parking spaces that you have.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
won't,
think you're overparked?
I'm sorry?
Are you overparked with the required spaces?
No, I don't think we'll have more than 10 people in that shop at one time. There's only so many welders. I mean, if you wanted to come over there, I could take you into the shop, or if Justin showed you around on the
Right,
inside.
you did, yes.
Yeah, so we can only, it's a very small building, so we don't have that much space in there to do.
So you're not, customers are not coming to and from your place?
No.
No, it's just the workers inside?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
okay. Yeah, that's good. And so no other people are coming in
No,
except what works there then?
that's it.
Okay. Any other?
I personally went to the building on Saturday myself, and I didn't see, because someone told me 10 employees, but obviously it's less, that there was going to be a parking issue, by putting this in.
Well, with the current spaces we have now, if we put the overhead door in there, there's just two less parking spaces than what we currently have. I think this site plan here is one of the original ones when the building was added on. There was a put on this building some years ago, not by us. So those parking spaces were all drawn in like that.
They were always there on there, those parking spots?
I believe so. This was taken from the original site plan,
Okay.
which didn't make sense to me because,
Unless the doors were replaced after or put in?
no, the doors, overhead doors on the side of the building, which I don't know if you have pictures of that.
Yeah,
Or you saw that, those were always there.
okay. Yeah, so that doesn't make any sense. You can't have parking spaces in front of overhead doors.
No.
So I'm sure I thought Mr. Boggs might have just did that to meet the ordinance and threw those on there, but he apparently just took an old site plan,
That's what he did.
and our ordinance, I don't believe, how long's this building been there, do you know?
I honestly, offhand, I don't know exactly when the building was built.
I've been in the city for 47 years, and seems like it was always there. I mean, I
I
could
think
get,
it was there, I think the building is older than that.
yeah, it's pretty unique. I'll just give you a little story real quick, because the post office there,
Yeah.
that property between the post office and the building, which looks like it was probably the property you have, because we used to have, I was in the building department here, and we used to get complaints on a homeless person that lived right in a tree, like had all kind of stuff, pallets and everything.
Yes.
And lived in there. So you've been around that long?
I've been around long ago, I've heard the story, and there is a patch of woods on the other side of that red line. It's on the west side of the building.
Because when I went there Saturday too, it looks like it's pretty clear. And I look back and I'm thinking, how did they ever have somebody living there? I remember seeing it all the
Well,
time.
that used to be pretty grown up in that area. In fact, I'd like to find out who owns the rest of that, because I would even clean it up, because, the kids go in there and they play in that area, and it's dangerous
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a chance to walk through that little patch, I call it woods, but it's not really.
Yeah, it's not what, I always pictured it as woods, because when I saw it, it was really, you'd pull in to use the post office and you couldn't even see through there
No.
at all.
Yep.
So it was kind of unique to see.
We cleaned up our lot line all the way back, to the back of the building there. But there are a bunch of trees that are falling down, and
Do you know for sure that here's a pointer, where you have a brick wall here,
yes,
and it comes right to the building, where
Yeah.
this shows you have property away from the building quite a bit. I know this is 3C's yard, and I just there's nothing, there's no break. That wall comes right from the building.
so the wall that's on the east side here,
Yes, on the right side.
on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
that butts right up into my building.
Yes, that's what I noticed, and I know from seeing that picture that, where is all this? Does the lot line go back there into 3Cs? Because when this was built, I mean, they would have had to approve it for a zero lot line, and things have changed because 3Cs came along after.
Yes,
So you were there when 3Cs came,
Yes.
because I remember when they came there.
Yes.
And the problem is that they've closed their yard in.
yes.
So even firemen, if you had a fire back there, they can't fight from that backside without going through 3Cs. I know there's a knock box that they could get in, Knox box, and they have access to come through there. It just seems like a lot.
It would be a lot, but on the left side of the building, all the way to the back, there's a small block wall on that side. And there is a little gate there, which is,
So there probably is some of your property back there, you think?
I don't think so, because we approached Mr. Caesar, they were leaning stuff up against the building. And
Yeah.
I said, guys, you own
They
this
thought it was like a
property.
brick wall.
I get it, but please don't. And then they were really good to us. I mean,
Yeah,
it was no problem.
they're good. And there's at least I looked over and there's a big gap between their
Yeah.
material storage
Yes.
and there. So it's not like anything should be back there to hamper your building or create any fire safety issues.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. But it seems like it's been working good for you then if it's been
Yeah, I
20
mean, they've been
years.
good neighbors. In fact, we use them once in a while for our other properties, so.
So the other side, the right side, the
Yeah.
east side, either way, you're still going to have to use that property, the other guy's property, to get to those parking spots.
Yes.
So if there is a agreement,
I think it's more of a gentleman's agreement with us. I mean, I just don't, I don't really know if it's the same owner that
Well,
owns that building.
that's what I was going to say. If it changes hands and then you get somebody who gets really creepy about it
Yeah.
and wants to say, no, you're trespassing on my property. So that's why I was wondering if there's a recorded document.
There is not, but, I mean, that probably would be a good thing to do.
If you're in good standings with that neighbor now,
Yeah,
I would probably get something recorded so that for future it doesn't put you in a bind.
Okay.
Because now there's no way to access those doors with I mean, you'd have to stay right on that side of the building to go to them. Kind of useless for the overhead doors, huh?
and the guy that is there now, he really doesn't have a big problem. Like if we have to back a truck in the side, like
Yeah.
a 21-foot stake truck, he doesn't mind us swinging in and backing in. The biggest thing is if we have a bigger truck, we don't want to tie that space up for him at all.
Right.
Or if you get a new owner.
Or get a new
The other
owner.
building,
I
so-
will have my attorney draft something up, some kind of agreement that we
I
can,
think you should cover yourself for that.
yes.
Now then, where's their parking?
Their parking is all along that,
That side too?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was thinking, we're talking about his
I
parking.
can't
but-
remember. I don't remember looking at that.
Yeah, I did, because they both have the same situation for getting cars in there. So I don't foresee that being an issue, since it's not been an issue for 40 years, you know?
Until you get a neighbor who's not comfortable.
Well, and that could always happen.
Yeah, but hey, that's between you guys to cover it. That's
Yeah,
not
we-
part of what we're here for.
very easygoing people, and we'll,
Yeah. And if they are too, now's the time
yes, I
to
agree,
do it. Because I've seen worse things after somebody new comes in
I agree.
and they stay away from my property, you know? Do you guys do the same people clear the snow and everything?
We just recently did, up to 3 years ago, there was a different manager or different owner, and he was a little more difficult. And so why have two snow companies if we can just get one?
Yeah,
And
just makes
so
sense.
the new one, we use the same snow removal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so let's get back to this. If you add, let me use this again. If you add the driveway here, and you have the overhead door here, pretty much everything's going to have to be backed in. It'd be right there.
Yes.
So there's no way you could get a delivery truck without it backing in off Masonic, probably, right? Or
correct.
can it? Okay, well, if it works for you and it's going, I'm not going to get involved with that.
Well, but there's so many businesses on Masonic.
Oh, yeah,
Is that now?
you can, and it's all pre-existing.
Right.
There's not much you could do.
No.
But other than that, I think our only issue seems to be the requirement for the number of parking spots. And did you give a final answer basically on that being a one-way? Or,
Dan, I do have a revised drawing that Dan sent me that just shows like a one-way.
okay, and if not, if you want to do the other, because you would have to come for a variance no matter what to get the parking spots reduced.
Okay.
And there's no way we can approve it with you blocking those overhead doors. So you could add that to the same and get a variance at the same time, or request it and see if they would give. But that'll be for the zoning. So are there any more questions for the petitioner?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
If you turn it into a one-way, I mean, the way I'm envisioning it is you have a truck pull in or back in, and then it goes into the building with the new door that you're going to put on. And then when it comes out, it wants to kind of come right back out that same way.
Yes, there's no way to have like a two-way. I guess if you look at it that way, I guess you could consider it a two-way, but you
That
can't do
would be.
anything else with that.
Yeah,
that
it would be a
driveway.
two-way. So I think what he's saying is you probably have to go to ZBA for a variance on the parking anyway. Maybe try to go for
Just
the
combine
variance.
it.
Go for the variance on that as well. You're going to have to come for the other things.
And you always got to use, to your benefit, the fact that you still do share the access.
Yes.
And if you could make that official, and who knows, you already checked Register of Deeds? There's nothing on that?
No, there's not.
Okay. So if you followed that, I mean, that would solve a lot of things, because now you really don't need the two-way for access of your staff. Otherwise, I mean, if something did happen, they're going to have to make that a two-way to get in and out. Oh, they're never going to get to that parking, though.
Maybe I didn't understand your question. The other driveway, that is in the deeds as a common driveway.
Okay,
So that is in there.
okay. So no matter what, they've got to cross that property to get into those parking spots.
Absolutely.
It's just a unique situation, and it's pre-existing, and I think we're not going to touch it any further with that. I think it's just a matter of working with, I would go for a variance if you have to on the two-way for that.
Even though that is a common driveway and it's,
No, I'm talking on the other one, the new one.
oh, just go for the variance anyways.
Yes, or widen it. Have you gone to that and considered that, to widen it?
Widen the new driveway?
Yeah. Because if you widen it to the 30 feet, you're going to have a two-way.
I think there might be an issue with the parking again. Won't we lose?
So, yeah, so if you're going for a parking variance, though,
Yeah.
if you get a reduction in the parking spaces, then it's likely you could meet that. If you get that variance, of course, which is kind of the
Then you don't need
common
that
theme
spot.
throughout.
Yeah,
that.
so count those. So you already got 2, 4, 6, that would be 7 off the, what is it, 25 or 26? What was the requirement?
26.
26 requirements, so 7 off will be 19. And you only got 10 people there usually.
So you'd lose one more parking space.
Yeah, just lose the one more, ask for a variance for that then.
Okay.
And then you can widen. Then you don't need a variance for the driveway. If you can widen that to the 30,
Yeah.
right, are we in agreement
It's a little
on
bit
that?
of it's a little bit of dealer's choice on what exactly you want to get to, but at the end of the day, if it's two-way driveway, it has to be 30 feet or a variance, and to reduce the parking, you need a variance as well.
Gotcha. My thought was with the two-way driveway that you could pull something in and pull something out at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's no way that you'd back a truck in there and have another vehicle enter that building. It's only, I think it's 60 feet wide, I believe.
But you also got to think this is our ordinances, and that you could sell that building, and you got a whole different thing there that needs
Gotcha.
two-way traffic,
Yes.
no matter what.
Okay.
So it's up to you to figure out which way to go. You could go for the variance if you don't get it, widen it, but we can't approve what it is, what you're asking for right now,
Okay.
unless it is a one-way.
Okay.
And no matter what, we can't approve it anyway for that because of the parking variance requirement.
Okay.
But we can do that as a condition. So I'm going to leave it up to the board if there's no other questions? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion, if anybody wants to make a motion.
What was the variance for the parking?
26 required, and we really don't, that'll be a zoning thing, so if you make it conditional to zoning,
Okay.
obtaining that, I guess, or do we have to be so specific?
You can correct me. I don't believe so. I think you can say it has to meet 26 or obtain a variance for less than
Yeah.
that.
This is for the variance from the zoning board. I'd like to make a motion to approve site plan 25-01 at 16945 Masonic Boulevard with the condition of going to the zoning board and getting a variance on the parking and also the drive.
Do I have a support on
Can
that?
I ask for clarification before we even get support? So it's
Yep.
the parking reduction.
Parking
variance
reduction and the drive.
And the driveway is going to be two-way?
That's,
Or,
or variance from the zoning
Or
board.
variance.
well, if it's two-way, it's got to expand.
Variance 30 feet, right. But the zoning board will
Okay.
do that when you go to the zoning board.
It's easy enough to go to 30 feet if you can get rid of another parking spot.
Yeah.
But he,
That's what I was worried about, another parking space.
So
Yeah.
it's a variance for the driveway if necessary?
necessary, correct.
Is that correct? Just for my clarification, okay. I will support that.
Okay, any other further discussion?
Can I make one point, John, on your motion? It's not, this isn't, I don't think this is technically a site plan. It's probably just.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I don't think this is a site plan. I think it's technically like an amendment to his
Amendment to the site plan?
existing site plan. So just wanted to make that clear.
Okay.
We're not approving a full-blown site
Yeah,
plan.
it is confusing because,
It's very confusing.
yeah, or
It's
else we
literally,
got to get into a lot of other details that
Right.
don't meet, so,
you're really just approving, it's just a
widened
driveway.
driveway.
That's it. So
yeah.
I don't even know if it's technically a site plan, really, but.
I think we should stop where we're at.
Yeah, that's just, do the roll call.
Okay, let's do a roll call on that motion.
Commissioner Barr. Commissioner Zarnecki.
Yes,
Commissioner Farina is absent. Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller is absent. Commissioner Warnick.
Yes.
That is approved.
Okay, motion passes. If you want to wait a few seconds, I can stamp these plans.
Okay.
You can have all these back if you like, if you need them. I'm just going to throw it away.
If you're going to throw, I'll take them. Yeah.
Yep.
For the applicant, to meet the March meeting, I need an application by February 11th. That's next Tuesday. That's for noticing requirements, to make sure I get it into the paper in time.
Today's date. Can give those right to him. We
thank you
just
for coming in this evening, sir.
save you a trip. Congratulations on your expansion and good luck.
I was inside, it was, whoa.
Oh, you got in?
Yeah.
Well, Saturday, nobody was there.
Yeah, it was just us in the cold weather Saturday.
Go.
I saw some sparks. I'm not that familiar with anything like that.
No, we used to do that. I did that years ago.
A question, and I didn't bring it up, though, was outside storage, because you got those pipes out there and that. Do you have enough room to keep stuff inside, or?
It's going to be almost just-in-time deliveries.
Oh, so those are,
They're
yeah.
picked up.
They're right away taken in and worked with, yeah,
Pipe in,
yeah.
cut it out.
In and out.
He's going to come out and yell at you for not being on mic.
Oh, yeah.
It's not your fault.
No, we do it all the time.
That was just conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just,
We're all
I'm just
set.
waiting for stamp plans, but you got them, so we're good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Please come back, though, to discuss during the regular hours, discuss the zoning board. Is there an application already in?
There's not an application already in. I actually will not be in office on Friday, but you can reach me via email or phone this week. If you have questions, I can walk through the variance process and what you'll need.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, feel free to email me.
Because that's not full final till that's done.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so that takes care of, oh, yeah. August, you want to swear in
that?
Joanne?
Sure. Stand up, please. Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the Office of Planning Commissioner
of the Office of Planning Commissioner
in and for the City of Fraser,
in the,
for the City of Fraser,
for the City of Fraser,
County of Macomb,
County of Macomb,
State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Welcome back.
Congratulations, Joanne.
Thank you.
You're official again.
Yeah. For a while.
All right, let's move on to number 7, unfinished business, driveway expansion text amendments discussion. Ms. Ayer, do you have more info for us?
Truthfully, nothing too much changed from last time we had Mr. Vigneron look at it. And we removed one of the provisions that kind of mentioned, I think, either it was like an up pitch or something, because it was just a little too technical. Mr. Vigneron did say, after packets went out, that just a provision about it being pitched in a way that will not run off to the neighboring properties would be a good provision to add, so we would add that back in. But other than that, this is mostly what you saw last time with just some, I think I switched the numbers on the RM and the RL accidentally. They're switched to the right spots
Oh, that's
for that lot coverage.
Yeah.
You did.
But this is what we have proposed. So we've got proposed a definition of a driveway. We've got the dimensional requirements, and it's split out by if the lot has an attached garage, a detached garage, or no garage. And then they all have to have a 1-foot setback. We also have a provision that says that driveways must use the side yard if they're expanding before the front yard, and that's to stop people from paving like halfway into their front yard. And then also, if it exceeds the width, there must be a taper. So this is a 45-degree taper from either the sidewalk or I believe we also have to add, that was another addition, sidewalk or lot line, depending if they don't have a sidewalk.
Right.
Parking must be paved areas, that's a carryover. Has to adhere to the impervious surface minimums in 32-122, which are below in that table. And then we're also permitting horseshoe drives on corner lots on the frontage without a garage, and this is to provide access to that front door so they don't have to walk around if someone's visiting or someone's making a delivery, things like that. But the horseshoe drives can't exceed 9 feet at any point. So the impervious surface maximum, the front yard for the RM district is 40%, and then the total lot is 50. 30 in the RL, 35%, and then 45% for that rear. I believe I passed out the slides last time. I have them back up. This is kind of just to get a sense. This is the RM district with detached garages. You can see the 45 total coverage and 24 lot front yard, and this is just, and then you can see 50% full coverage, and this is in the Venetian Village, so it's those kind of smaller lots. That's what 50% looks like, and that's got about 21% front yard. And then the final one is kind of what we're trying to avoid, not to pick on anyone, but it's got 70% coverage and then 22 in the front. So it's the total that wouldn't be necessarily compliant here. RM district with attached garages, can see that hitting that total and impervious is a little bit easier when your garage is attached because you're not paving back to it. But those are just some examples of those lots again. Just quickly, last one, RL district. So you can see the front yard, 50% there, that's exceeding, and then 40% total. 35% total, 32% front, and then 78% total.
That's a good one to show the angle from the sidewalk to that first one.
Yeah, it's kind of got that taper, so that's,
Kind of useless area anyway. so it's probably better being grass.
Yeah.
This way
and-
water will saturate in.
And then it also kind of just, the look of it isn't so paved
Right.
in the front as well.
Yeah.
So that's our recommendations. Like I said, we've got those 2 minor tweaks to the language, but other than that, if this commission's comfortable with this ordinance, we would like to proceed with a public hearing at the next meeting, and then potentially a recommendation to council.
A few things I just want to go back to is, did we have something before you had something where they couldn't put, like we had that couple here, and they couldn't put a driveway in the back for their, was it a motorhome or something? A camper?
The side of the garage, first example.
They
Yeah,
couldn't do it on the side?
it was the side, yeah, and it was just a driveway, because currently how we interpret the ordinance is that you can't expand your driveway at all, unless it's to provide access to like a rear garage.
Well, what if,
But he doesn't.
if they did put it in the back, because, and I understand the reasoning is because they can't have it in the front yard setback. So they can have it right up to the front building line of the house.
Well,
The
he
back-
was actually, this isn't a recreation, he wanted to put his truck there,
Oh, okay.
so it wasn't the
But if it,
recreation.
does he have that, yeah, I guess I'd have to see that house, but could he go to the backyard? Was there enough room to take it down? Or he didn't have a driveway down that side of the house even?
So it was an attached, so it kind of looked something a little bit like the first 2 images here.
Yeah.
So his garage was in the front, so how we interpret the ordinance is you cannot expand that garage or pave extra unless it's to provide access to a garage or required parking. The required parking is in the garage, so if he couldn't just pave back because it wouldn't provide access to that garage.
I mean, we got for impervious surfaces in the back, what would be the harm is what I'm trying to figure out, because that one threw me of why. I understand what you're saying is if it doesn't go to the garage or to provide for required parking, but it's parking that isn't impacting anybody. He's using up part of his impervious surface if he came to the back of the house with something. I'm just using, I might not be on the same page as what he was doing, but I'm using that as an example. Like, by what you're saying, they couldn't come down the side and put a pad in the back? If it doesn't have
Under the current
a
ordinance?
driveway?
Under the current ordinance, no.
I have his address, if we can look it up, if you want to see it on the screen. But this
Oh.
this change is not going to it's not going to help him at all.
No, I don't think so. And it's like, I'm trying to get to the reasoning still.
Okay. Can you pull up?
So this provision, it allows you to expand the width of the garage plus 9 feet.
Right.
So he
So
could
you
expand
could
9
have it
feet.
there.
He'd have to keep 1 foot off of the side, and he'd have to meet the impervious
Right.
surface for
Right.
the total lot.
And keeping it 1 foot aside, but why can't he go to the back?
Under the new one?
Yeah,
So he could under the new one, but it would have to
Oh.
meet those impervious
as
surfaces.
long as he meets his impervious surface minimums or maximums.
Correct.
Yes, okay. That's why I thought, because it was
I
kind of,
can't attest to if that 9 feet gets him exactly what he wants, but
yeah, that makes sense though now. Because that's where I was getting confused, why he couldn't do that. And I might not know something that his situation.
If you-
I thought it was a camper or something.
If you look at Lauren has the text of the old ordinance on the first page of the memorandum, and it says, the second sentence says, paved areas shall not be permitted in any required side yard or any required front yard except the driveway located in the front yard unless it is necessary to provide access to a side. So I think what the problem that the guy and I wasn't there, so I don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
From the way you're describing it, he couldn't have it because there wasn't this garage back there that he needed to do it for to access it. The only way you could do it is if you had something back there to access.
They couldn't get into a garage because it's too big a vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
so-
going to just use a camper not if that wasn't him, let's just use a camper. Somebody wants to have a camper, and they could get around to the back and put it there and not impact anybody, and it's their backyard, it's not a required, of course, we got the side yards, but required side yard is probably 5 feet minimum. It depends what the other side is. So it depends what zoning, was that RL or RM? I can't remember. That's Kingston. That could be either one.
Yeah, although that is just a building setback, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So that has nothing to, he wouldn't be able to take it, the 9 feet even, if he met just the building setback of, let's say it was 5 feet. Well, he couldn't go that way no matter what.
Well, I
You'd
don't
have
know
to
how much
have-
space he has on the, on
But could he
his,
take it on the other side? Then he's got to put another approach.
So
Can
you
you have 2 approaches by this ordinance? Can they add another approach and come up the other side of this? Let's just use that one on the middle. In that there's his, forget that coming down the sideways, on the side, because he wouldn't have enough room. But on that side, he's probably got enough room. Can he put an approach on the road and come up and put another driveway up that way by this ordinance?
So this ordinance does not say anything, but I do think we should have a limit on approaches. I think it's one approach unless you have a corner lot.
Because you can go crazy with, if the more
Correct.
approaches that come, all of a sudden.
So I do think that having an approach limit for those driveways is something.
Well, here's the biggest problem I experienced all the time when somebody wanted to put an approach. They didn't like the idea they had to put 6 inches of concrete on the sidewalk there. Well, you have to. If there's an approach, now the sidewalk has to be 6 inches thick. Otherwise, it's 4 inches thick. And it's already 4 inches thick, so they don't want to take that out. So they go and add this approach and think they can get away. No, you got to change that whole sidewalk to meet our standards for the sidewalk now that it's an approach. So we can open a lot of can of worms, I guess, with it. I guess just take things as they come, but if he's got to go for a variance, he's got to go for a variance to get that other approach.
Right, and so, when Mr. Denault and I were going through this and running through scenarios and looking at aerials and playing all sorts of mental gymnastics, we were trying to essentially allow for residents to utilize their driveway in the way that a lot of them are or want to, but also keeping in mind that we want to maintain, some impervious or some pervious surface for stormwater as well.
Yeah.
So this is what we came up with, but.
And there's not going to be anything perfect with that because the 1 foot we're talking, I
Right.
said before, I know Sterling Heights is 18 inches. I'm glad, I always did it as a foot. That's the way I just did it. And it was never in writing. I just said, you need a foot. So I'm glad you kept it with a foot because a lot of people already think it's a foot. But if not, you did offer for curbing, right? You did before. I don't know if
We
there's
did
new
before,
one.
but again, Mr. Vigneron said that that provision was a little bit too kind of specific and technical in there, so that,
Yeah.
that might not be the situation that everyone would use to kind of,
I think where it would come into play is you go to Venetian Village and there is no room to even give them a foot between these houses. So you got a lot of driveways that are very close. It's crazy over there. And that's 900 houses that are like that. They're only 50, 60-foot lots.
think-
So,
correct me if I'm wrong, there's a way to pave it though, so when it runs off, it's.
it'll run
basically
off to the
slopes
street.
Okay, yeah, so,
So the curb was the best way. I always said they got to provide at least a 2-inch curb or something to direct that water away from it. I just used logic when I did it. Most people had no problem with that if you can keep it so it's working. The biggest problem is, even with a foot, soils are so different. And you got it, and Fraser's notorious for clay. We call it Fraser clay because it's so hard and water doesn't penetrate through it. So it's almost like we got that foot there so water will penetrate into the ground. It don't go in the ground. So it's pretty bad unless you put in a drain pipe or something through there, a field tile, or some way to get that water to drain away. But there's so many things, we can't get that involved because we don't know, every situation's different. We got to keep it something standard to work with, and I think this is good. I didn't see the curb thing, and I was just kind of questioning. I don't know that it becomes a big thing. Are you getting permits for all of these?
So we do require permits for driveways, yes.
For any driveway?
Yep, and then the big reason for that, especially now, will be to make sure that they're not exceeding their impervious surface.
Right, now that you have that, because we never had except for.
Yeah, there was never.
It was only an approach you needed a permit for. So we made sure that the 6 inches for the sidewalk and the 6 inches for the whole approach. So that's what we inspected. So now, that means they got to inspect everything.
And I do think that is a good practice, especially to make sure that you're not, paving something that's going to adversely impact your neighbor's property.
Oh, yeah. It's just, the public doesn't like anything that adds more permits. But what are you going to do, All right, so are we going to make a motion to forward this, or is there any more discussion? We want to forward this on?
I don't think, I think this is a discussion item, so I don't know if it requires a motion, but I'm looking for the planning commission's, approval to bring it back next month.
Oh, a public
with a
hearing.
public hearing,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah.
and hold a public hearing for
I
it.
think that's what we need to do. John?
Cool. A lot of it, I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but some of it I do not agree with. One of them is horseshoe driveways may be permitted only on corner lots. I think that one should be, my opinion, should be removed. We have a lot of houses, I have a horseshoe driveway and I'm not on a corner. There's a lot of houses that could do it. Some areas we have in Fraser are issues, and if you drive down Masonic between Groesbeck and Kelly, there's no place for these people to park. They got the one driveway coming in, and you drive down there right now, probably 90% of them houses have people parked on the grass. You know,
13 miles.
yeah, so I think that we should not do anything with this until we work on it and make some changes. One would be the horseshoe driveway. I understand that, driveways in front of the house too are, sometimes an eyesore, but sometimes you don't have a choice on these houses that are already built. So, I mean, if we went through and started enforcing this, you're gonna have a whole street Masonic vacant, because the people can't live there because they don't have no place to park. So I think it needs a few changes prior to making any motions to approve. And I'll list them. The first one's the horseshoe driveway. If the people have the frontage in the front of their house to do it, they should be able to put a horseshoe in. I mean, when my kids still lived home, we had 6 vehicles. There's no way you're gonna park 6 vehicles in a straight driveway. It's not gonna happen. And the other one would be the pavement in the front. That would be my suggestions.
Yeah, I think nobody shops for a house. They don't even take that into consideration when they're
No,
shopping.
I mean, like I said, you drive down.
People turnovers on these are a lot, and these people come, and all of a sudden, they got 5 or 6 kids, all having cars. It's not like the old days when, people shared and had rides. Everybody wants to drive themselves. There's cars for everybody. That's the tough thing when you get property like this. It's pre-existing. Today, they couldn't build that way. That subdivision like Venetian Village would have to have, in Venetian Woods, they'd have to have a wide enough area to give them the side yard setbacks and to accommodate a lot of that stuff. But these don't even have the front yard setbacks that are required, some of these. So I don't know. How do you go?
It's a tough
Pick
one.
and choose, yeah, because you can't, well, that's pre-existing conditions.
Yes, they're grandfathered
In-
in.
Yeah.
It's in the ordinance as, right now, as the last statement, that horseshoe drives are prohibited. We did have some discussions about some of the major thoroughfares and how perhaps horseshoe drives should be permitted on those lots as well. Again, open to planning commissions if you are agreeing on a direction.
I like that, except we had to break it down to where. And I know we have certain ordinances that are broken to certain areas and certain subdivisions only. So we could, it's a lot of extra work, and especially for enforcement, but we could do that maybe and look at it that way, but how do we do this? How do we start the procedure to go to each one and see?
Yeah, I know, it's tough.
It's really we're open to can of worms already by just doing this, I guess, but you got to have somewhere to start to stop this problem. People start impacting the neighbors with their water, and this is a good solution to stop that. So where do we go?
So if you have kind of a unified stance on what Commissioner Kyle said, we can incorporate that into the next meeting and still hold that public hearing. That public hearing isn't, again, it's, you make a recommendation to council and council's the one that adopts it. You can also make that recommendation with changes as well at that point.
Yes, we can
Also
make
table it at
changes
that
on
point,
that.
but.
And just a reminder, the public hearing is to take input for possible changes like
You're
this.
correct. Yeah, I'm not saying
that's-
postpone to public hearing. I
Yeah.
think it would be great.
So that's where,
Yeah.
you're expected to mark it up after. Yeah.
Sure. These are just my suggestions, you
So
know.
the public hearing, we don't have an area to do, it's the whole city. So are you just
We put a
noticing
news,
it
we
in
put a
the
newspaper
as a-
posting, yep, newspaper.
Not each resident.
Not areas. We have to do just the whole city.
Yep, it'll just,
That's what
it'll just
this
be a
is.
newspaper
It's a zoning.
posting.
This is
Yeah.
not a mailing, right?
No,
No, not a mailing.
as
no.
the person who stuffs envelopes know. But also, it's
Yeah.
not required for this
No,
sort of a
no
notice.
300-foot notice. We don't even have to notice other cities on that one.
No, no. So it'll be a newspaper, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think we do. Is this enough time, or do we need to push that up one more month for the?
It's enough time. I just, if I could get, we've heard Mr. Kyle's opinion. If the board agrees, if they don't, that would help in the next one we bring forward.
So how does the board feel? Do we want to?
I say we set up the public hearing, yes.
Yeah, and then we can talk there.
Because we can talk all we want, but we get.
It's the public needs to be,
The homeowners involved too.
yeah.
Did you want to incorporate your two suggestions, though?
Well, we can do that after the public hearing, yeah.
After the public hearing, okay.
Yeah, these are just my opinions.
So does anybody want to make a motion just to set the public hearing?
Postpone this till public hearing, yes. I'll make a motion to schedule the public hearing for our March,
March 5th, yep.
our March Planning Commission meeting, and postpone my remarks until we hear from the public.
March 5, yes.
Yeah.
We have support?
I support.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Kyle, supported by Commissioner Meyer. Take a roll call.
Commissioner Barr.
Yes.
Commissioner Zarnecki.
Yes,
Commissioner Farina is absent. Commissioner Kyle.
Yes.
Commissioner Meyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuller is absent. Commissioner Warnick.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. All right. Getting somewhere with that. I thought that one was going to go on forever. All right. Let's get back to the agenda. And next is public communications or not on non-agenda items. I don't see any public, so we can pass on that. 9, the monthly report, January 2025.
So Mr. Farina is not here, so I'm going to skip Hockey Land. I believe that their attorney sent over the final document, and now our legal team's just reviewing it to make sure it's all complete. So
Good.
a little
Yeah.
closer.
Keep taking a step closer.
We also need to meet with Sheets on their final submission. So once that's settled, Planning Commission
Ready
will
to
see
get
them
going?
back.
Okay,
Almost.
okay.
We got to work out a lighting plan.
Okay.
All the other items, zoning board is canceled for tomorrow. They did approve the metal facade in the industrial district for Power Solutions last month. And they approved Mr. Car Wash's lighting variance. I believe the Masonic Strip Mall will be back in front of you. I believe they're planning on March. Same with the duplex
Okay.
project as well, coming back in March.
Are they
I-
submitting the same plan, or did you get with them?
It's different.
Okay.
It's a little different, yep. Additionally, I just wanted to make sure this was all right with Planning Commission, but my colleague who is working on the sidewalk project with AEW, she wants to come to the next Planning Commission to give a presentation and give feedback for the recommendations for that plan. It's MCOG grant funded, so I assume that's all right with everyone, but,
Especially since we're having a public hearing, and you got the public out there too, it'd be a good time.
okay. So she'll be here to give a short presentation and then solicit
Good.
feedback on the recommendations from Planning Commission. That's all for the monthly report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And since Frank's not here, Zoning Board of Appeals Member Liaison, you took care of it basically by telling us what happened, so that's good, so we can pass that out. So Commissioners' comments, let's start right from the end. Commissioner Kyle, anything?
No, I pretty much made all my comments already. I'm good.
Commissioner Zarnicki?
I have none, but I'm going to ask our planning consultant to give us an overview on her open house when it gets to
Oh,
her
yeah,
turn. That's
okay.
good. Thank you.
Commissioner Meyer?
I'm asking Ms. Sayre to give us some comments on how the open house went on the zoning rewrite and the sidewalk. She had an open house last Tuesday. So just wondering how it went.
Okay, Commissioner Meyer?
No, none.
None? Commissioner Barr? Can you pull that down? There we go.
Okay, are these our last comments that we're saying?
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank everybody for the beautiful card and the comments for my daughter. It was very comforting, and so thank all of you very much. And other than that, I don't have anything to say.
Thanks. August?
I'm good. We'll talk this week about those details you want added to the other minutes.
Okay.
No problem.
Lauren?
I'll provide a brief overview. So we had a open house from 6 to 7:30 here at City Hall. It was for the sidewalks and for the zoning. We got about 12 people, so turnout could have been higher, but we kind of have a saying, anything above 0 is good turnout. And they did engage with the board, so we're excited about that. We had the permitted uses, the proposed permitted uses for each district, and residents were able to kind of comment on which ones they didn't think were appropriate in certain districts and any uses they might want added. People like sidewalks more, so there were more pins on the sidewalk board, but that one, AEW's already identified the sidewalk gaps. Now it's just getting public input on how to prioritize filling those. So that's the step that they're at now, and that feedback will be used to help that. So we're finalizing some summaries of those engagement events, and once those are done, we'll post them online.
Okay. Good, thanks. Alex?
Just one thing, like at the beginning of the meeting, I think the motion was to strike number 5, which was approval of the minutes. If we're gonna just do amendments to the minutes, maybe change the motion a little bit just to say you're gonna approve the minutes at the next meeting, or you're gonna postpone approving the minutes until the next meeting. That way it's not just it's gone and then,
Right, and then it's not.
Yeah,
happened to
back.
and then,
Yeah.
and then you come back next month and you're like, we struck those, it's fine.
No,
So,
that
I don't know if-
makes
I think that
sense.
was my motion. So do you want me to rephrase it?
Yeah, just if you want to just say something to the effect of we're going to postpone the approval of the minutes until the next meeting.
Okay, all right.
Makes sense.
So I will correct my motion. We, to revise the agenda to not consider the January 13, 2025 draft minutes so we can, so the administration can make some revisions to the minutes. Is that okay?
Who made the second? And then-
I'll second it.
And did you second the original motion?
The first one? I don't remember.
I think I did.
As long as you agree, then that's good for me.
Okay, anything else, Alex?
Nope.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Now, my other thing was that you were going to find out some things about alternates. Can we do anything getting alternates?
Oh, you know what? I'll get you guys an email before the next meeting, I promise.
It happens.
Okay.
It's worse when you get older, trust me.
Are you our regular counsel now, or
Yeah, pretty much.
until?
Don will be here for, I think it's ZBA in March. I have a charity event for my son's school that I'm going to. So, but yeah,
But normally you should be. Okay.
yeah, and then Alyssa Erickson comes back off of maternity leave I think the end of next month. So I don't know. It's kind of just, who's available. I don't know if, I don't
That's
know.
good to see you.
Yeah, appreciate it. But she's, she'll have a newborn. So my kids will be, my youngest turns 1 in March, and then my other one's 6, just turned 6 last week. So they're a little bit older. They can go without me for a couple hours at night. So I don't know about the newborn with mom, that's a little tougher.
Thanks, I appreciate you.
Did everyone get their IDs?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Okay, that's still, send an email to Nikki if you need me to send that to you again, so you can get in and get your picture taken so you can get your IDs, so.
We need to get new, I mean, I
That's
have
the
one.
police side here.
If you want a fresh new picture, if you want to use that old one where you look younger, I would stick with that one,
Oh, good.
Just wanted to remind you all since, it's still there for you.
You can go to the building counter and they'll set you up.
But it's police.
It's over the police
Yeah.
side. Nicole is the,
Public
behind
safety.
me.
But do I start there or do I start here?
Go right to public safety.
right there. She knows.
Just you want to let us know that you're coming, so I'll make sure Nikki's here to do it, though. They want you to make an appointment.
Where are you?
I'm in the clerk's office right here. But if you just call and or email me, let me know, I can make sure there's an appointment for you that Nikki's here, so you don't come in and she's not here,
Right.
Does it always have to be in the mornings, though?
No, you can just make an appointment with her. You can talk to her directly. Yeah.
Because the times before was in the mornings, and
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
At the time, that week, I think that's where
Okay.
when she was available. It's flexible.
Okay. Only other thing is, we need to, on these agendas, to add adjournment. It'd be number 12, like on this. And then, is that right?
Yeah, I
You look
believe I
like you're
missed it.
hesitant.
I believe I missed it last month, and I used the
Okay.
last month as the template.
And then we don't have it on the
Yep,
minutes
I'll-
either then.
I apologize. I'll correct that
So-
moving forward. Thank you.
So if we can keep that on there, so now we can really adjourn. If I get any motions.
I motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Myers, supported by Commissioner Kyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and the meeting ends at 8:08.
Thank you, everyone.
I just don't want these meetings to end.
Love them so
I like
much.
hanging out. I like hanging out with August.